A group of British tourists are rejected from entering Spain due to new restrictions from Brexit. An army of militants attack a town in northern Mozambique, causing major destruction. The Italian government cuts off cruise ships from Venice. And Sabra recalls thousands of its products due to them being infected with Salmonella. This is The World at Large, and we are Politics 1001.
The World at Large.
Politics
1001.
The world
At Large.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of The World at Large. This show is free for everyone, and to keep it that way, consider supporting us through the link in our description. You can support us by leaving a review, subscribing, and sharing with a friend as well. Now, without further ado, please enjoy this episode of our podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The World at Large. And I hope you enjoyed that intro because from now on, it's permanent. We're not changing it ever.
April Fools.
Oh, you're supposed to keep it quiet till the end.
Guys, it's April Fool's Day. I mean, we totally planned to be recording on a Thursday instead of a Wednesday. Not because Ian is incompetent, unable to get the correct recording time. So instead, we're recording on Thursday. And we decided to give you a little prank. You're not going to hear that cringy intro that you just heard. However, you're going to get it today. I think it's hilarious.
You and no one else, that is.
Yeah, I hope you
I like to serenade our audience in my stellar musical abilities.
his inability to keep any sort of rhythm whatsoever.
Yes, I don't know what he's talking about, but I don't know. I my mother always says I have the voice of an angel.
Yes, you do, Ian. No, he doesn't. But if you haven't actually, if you listen to the first few episodes we made, we actually used to do these like really stupid intros.
Wasn't my idea.
Oh, I thought it sounded cool, but it doesn't. We got some pretty bad feedback. A lot of you called it stupid, so we stopped. But I thought for April Fool's Day, we bring it back for one more time, and then maybe for special occasions, you get one of those again. We did a Twinkle Twinkle Little Star one, which is my personal favorite. We actually edited it. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you didn't cringe too much. And if you did skip it, go back and listen. Because you need to listen in order for the April Fool's joke to work.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Ian agrees. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into the episode. So, we're talking first about Spain and the United Kingdom. Because guys, it is March 31st just passed. It's gone. March 2021, let's just pretend it didn't happen. Because honestly, it didn't. The restrictions are over for Brexit. The UK left, but Spain decided we're going to keep it in place for a little bit longer. The open borders, we're going to slowly inch our way out of it. Give the people of Spain and the British, let's give them some time to cope. Cope is the right word. And figure out their plans. If they want to hang out in Spain, we're going to give them some time to figure it out. But the March 31st, all of that expired. So now, Brexit, it's full on Brexit now. You might as well be coming from Chile to Spain. Because at this point, United States to Spain, at this point, you might as well. The British have just as much of a right as Americans to enter the country. They are an independent sovereign nation without any ties to the European Union. So obviously, in that that debate in itself is still raging. But you know what? It happened, and this is the reality of the situation: is that there's going to be some things changing between Britain and Spain. So the story of the day is that a group of British tourists were rejected from Spain by border authorities when attempting to re-enter the country. So these people were actually put on the plane. They landed in Alicante, which is a port city in Spain. I know that because I had a foreign exchange student from there.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, big deal, yeah. Hey, Julio. And so...
I don't think Julio listens to this.
I think he does. No.
Big shout out to Julio.
If he ever hears this. But anyways, Alicante is a port city in Spain, or at least a coastal city. And the flight was coming from Manchester. It landed there, and then the authorities essentially just turned them around and say, you know what? No, I don't want any of this British garbage in my country. Get out, shoot. You guys don't have the proper papers. And so what's weird about this is that they were actually living in Spain, and they were trying to return to their homes in the country. And this was actually 40 people that were turned away. It wasn't a family. It was pretty much a whole flight of 40 people that were turned back. So they were pretty angry. They tried to present their papers, proving that they were residents of Spain, but the Spanish said no, no, we're not. We're not doing that. Those papers, they don't work. And so Stuart Miller, he's the British person who came forward. He's speaking for the herd here, and he said, "We're done. This is ridiculous." He said this to the press. I'll just read you what he said. "What more proof do you need of residency? There was no advice, no help, and to be fair, no good reason for us to be turned back at Alicante." Because again, these people actually tried to present papers showing their residency, which the Spanish authorities hinted would be enough. But that didn't work. It didn't work. So Miller and his friends, they were sent back. They're sent back running to that rainy island in the northern part of Europe. So
could have had some sunshine.
It could have. But anyways, you might as well live in Massachusetts at that point. It's so rainy here. But anyways, according to the British Embassy in Madrid, they had mixed reactions. They said, all right, I don't know if that's the best thing. I don't know if that was appropriate, but at the same time, we got to understand the reality of the situation here. And so the British Embassy said this. "We are aware that a number of UK nationals were turned back from Alicante Airport at the weekend, and we have been in touch with the authorities. If you are a UK national who has been turned away and you hold sufficient documentary evidence to prove you have legal residence in Spain, we stand ready to take this up with Spanish authorities." So, what these people did not possess are the Thai cards, as I like to call them. I think that's how you say it, but they are Tarjeta de Identidad de Extranjero. Spanish is... You really love my American accent here. And these are essentially foreign ID cards, which are necessary in order to stay in Spain after a person's respective visa expires.
If it makes you feel any better, I didn't notice the American accent.
Thank you.
You were just speaking gibberish.
Tarjeta there. Identidad. No. Okay. Sorry, guys. My Spanish isn't great. But essentially, these Thai cards are necessary in order to stay in Spain if you lose your visa. If you want to live there, if you want to chill in Spain, you got to prove you're a resident. You got to work for it. I don't want these random residency papers. No. The Thai card. And so, but I was doing a tie on my neck.
He was.
Yeah. And so before, the British could have come and gone as they pleased, obviously, but with Brexit, it's not exactly that easy. It's much more difficult for these people to enter since it's just as similar, like I said, from entering from the United States. So there's been a lot of resistance to this decision from the Spanish authorities to turn these people away. Since they hinted that they could have gotten in with the paperwork that Mr. Miller, for example, did supply when he went to Spain. However, that didn't end up working out and it didn't apply, and so they were turned away. So this led to Sue Wilson. Sue Wilson is angry. She is the chair of Bremain, and that's the most influential British migrants activist group in Spain.
They have that?
Oh, yeah, okay. It advocates for British migrants. Sue was so mad.
You go, Sue. I demand to see the manager of this Spanish restaurant. I mean the manager of all of Spain. I demand to see them immediately.
Yeah, Sue was not happy. She called the authorities, quote, overzealous. And then she went on to say this. There is no legal requirement for a Thai card, so long as you already are a legal resident before the end of the transition period and have the paperwork to prove it. Paperwork proving they've been asked to collect their new residency of documents, along with any supporting proof of residency, should be good enough.
Ooh.
I mean, yeah.
Ouch.
Sue is mad, and her job is essentially to do stuff like this, stick up for British migrants who kind of find themselves in situations like this. Exist specifically in Spain because of that little Gibraltar nook and cranny of the old British Empire, which doesn't exist. So
I bet Sue wants to see it rise again.
Sue will be Empress of Britain.
Lord Wilson, here are your residency papers.
Yes,
as per requested.
Mm-hmm. See, Ian's a big fan of Sue. He's her biggest fan.
Well, just because I have one or two posters in my room of Sue Wilson,
Sue Wilson
doesn't mean that I'm that big of a fan. I've been to a few concerts where she does a whole lecture on residency papers.
You went to her small apartment in rural Spain.
Yes.
But anyways, off topic. So Sue she's not happy, and she's sticking up, and she's essentially saying it's ridiculous. I mean, the requirements to have a tie card, that's a stupid request. You're just trying to rub the fact that Brexit actually applies in our face, and that's not nice. I mean, so the British Embassy, which I told you some of their reaction, but I'll say more, it said that they will look into this conflict, and they went on to state, however, that it was not ultimately up to them whether or not the tourists could be let in. I mean, it's Spain. They're a sovereign country, sadly. So what are we going to do? Well, we can't stop them from getting in. So if they're going to reject you, they're going to reject you. Like, you got to get over this. And so there are many residents of Spanish nationality who have not actually applied for residency status. And these people actually live in Spain right now. They're different from the people that were turned away. Some of them have second homes in Spain, or they're there on a visa, but whatever the reason is, they have to apply for residency in order to be able to stay, or the Spanish government has threatened to actually eject them from the country and send them back to Britain. So these people, they got to get on it if they haven't done it yet. So that's certainly a risk they have to take, and it's really just showing how the impact that Brexit is having on this, I mean, just Spanish-British relations in general. It's very interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that heartfelt moment in our beautiful eulogy to Sue, we will.
Is she dead?
No. It's eulogy.
Then why are we delivering eulogies?
I don't know. A speech, a commemoration. Fine,
Yeah.
Commemoration to Sue.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys.
I thought she died. I just got so nervous. Anyway, go back to Mozambique.
Yeah, so now we're going to move on to Mozambique. And this is a lot more serious, so I'm going to take a little bit more of a serious tone with this. No Sue's here. What happened is that the gas-rich province of Cabo Delgado was attacked recently by armed fighters in the town of Palma. This city is located in the northeastern part of Mozambique. It's right on the border, and it was very bad. It was very brutal. It resulted in over 8,000 people being displaced. The city has tens of thousands of residents, so you could see how... 8,000 people, that's a lot of people. So reportedly, fighters stormed the city and began looting and ransacking. Looting and ransacking buildings, lighting fires, blowing stuff up, and shooting people as they ran away. They forced thousands of people to flee into the countryside or into the forest just to avoid deaths. In fact, however, even though the city ended up, it's controlled by these militant groups, which is believed to be Al-Shabaab, which is a militant group which operates in Eastern Africa, there are still a lot of people trapped in the city. For example, there's a hotel that has a lot of foreign people. There's some Mozambique elites that are in the hotel. It's a pretty big deal in Palma because it's a coastal city. It's nice. And I guess it's like under siege right now or whatever. So it's a pretty big deal. And so a few thousand others actually fled by boat since they were squashed against the water by the squished against the water by the approaching army. And so they grabbed a boat and just fled because they didn't want to get shot. I mean, these attackers, the Al-Shabaab, were actually opening fire. And again, not confirmed that's Al-Shabaab, but that's what we think it is. And so sadly, dozens of people were rounded up and beheaded by the attackers. So as you can see, these militant groups tend to do stuff like this, similar to ISIS, Al-Qaeda. That this type of stuff happens where they round up people and you behead them to teach them a lesson, or at least get people to surrender. Otherwise, if you fight back, this is the consequence you're going to face. But so unexpectedly, this has caused an uproar of both fear and disgust from the surrounding countries and nations abroad. For example, Musa Faki Mahamat, the chairman of the African Union, demanded immediate and coordinated international action against hardline and extremist groups to stop this from happening. He doesn't like it. It's a tragedy. And so, furthermore, Mogositi Masisi promised to send aid as well. Which is in that man is the president of Botswana. He said he's going to send regional aid and help, kind of just to help secure the city and generally just restore order to a rather destructive turn of events. And so, despite all of this, because this attack again is very recent and it's all over the news in this part of the world. Despite all of this, Mozambique President Felipe Nyusi, he tried to play it down for economic reasons. He said it wasn't as bad as it looked, for example, and yeah, it's not that he thinks it was a good thing. I mean, he doesn't. He's working on solving the problem right now. But but he doesn't want to lose. There's a lot of economic potential in the city because, as I said earlier, this general province of Cabo Delgado it's very wealthy. There's a lot of, it's very gas rich. In fact, there's a multi-billion-dollar company, which is, I believe, $60 billion is it's worth. Natural gas. It's a French company. It's a project that's been worked on just 6 miles or 10 kilometers from the city of Palma, which was just taken by the militants. And the biggest concern of President Nyusi is that these people are going to pack up and leave because what incentives do they have to stay when the company can't keep their staff safe if there's terrorists beheading people just a few miles away? So that's the biggest concern of him. And so he's trying to downplay or at least say it's okay, we'll deal with it the best that we can to prevent them from doing that. However, the staff of the project did end up evacuating because the fighters actually left Palma and went down to like the outskirts of this project and carry out raids outside the facility, and gunfire and stuff like that, just to intimidate them. They didn't actually go in, but they got very close, and so the staff were immediately evacuated. And so that's Nyusi's concern. He doesn't want to lose out on this gas project. And so the biggest speculation as to why the attack, happened was because of this project. The group, maybe they want to get their hands on the gas, so they can sell it themselves. Maybe they want to disrupt it because if it's a flourishing, stable economy, they might be able to resist them better. So that's a reason that has been thought of. Another is that the fighters may have been trying to capture supplies from humanitarian groups. The last major attack on Palma, or in this province in general, was back in 2017, and even that, it wasn't really. This was debatably worse than that. So, aka, it's been about 4 years of relative calm and peace and stability, and because of that, humanitarian groups have started to operate in the areas again. But when they do operate, they carry with them, they carry medical supplies, food, water, all stuff that Al-Shabaab would want to confiscate and take for themselves, so that they can grow in numbers, because Al-Shabaab is growing, but these groups they grow mostly from using these supplies. They'll take the supplies and they'll grow themselves. So if someone's impoverished in a village or something, then they'll offer them. They say, if you join our ranks, we'll give you food and water. And to someone who doesn't have any of that, there's a real incentive to join. Not necessarily because you like killing people, but because you just want food. And so that's what they do. They'll intercept the humanitarian groups and then use it to grow their numbers. So that's kind of so those are the two reasons that as to why this happened. Again, it's not confirmed why, or even if it was Al-Shabaab, although there's a large amount of agreement that it was. But those are the biggest speculations. So the United States and Portugal, because Mozambique was a former colony of the Portuguese, they have both announced that they'll be sending special forces to go to the country and help train the army of Mozambique, make it more competent, able to fight terrorists, because especially American special forces do in fact fight terrorists a lot. They're very experienced in that field. And so, again, it's suspected that it was Al-Shabaab, but we're not really sure. And so Mozambique has sent troops to the north of the country, north of Mozambique, to actually retake Palma and try to restore order. And some other countries have offered to help. South Africa has offered to send supplies because this is a regional conflict, and South Africa doesn't want Al-Shabaab to carry into. They don't want the drama to carry into their country as well. So, pretty big story. It's a very big deal. It should be more on the news, but I haven't seen it as much as I feel it deserves. But it's on Politics 1001 World at Large, so it's biggest news source as it gets.
Of course. Exactly. Well, that's what I was thinking. I was a little insulted,
You guys make us so big. If you want to make us bigger, donate to the link in the description of this podcast. All right, but before we get started, let me tell you about a free platform called Anchor. So, what is Anchor? Well, as I said, it's free. And what can you do with this free platform? Well, you can upload and edit your podcast from your computer or your phone, and it will distribute it for you, this entire app. So, if you're not an expert in Anchor, or you don't know anything about podcasts, then it's all fine, because Anchor will do all of it for you. Anchor will send it to the most famous places for podcasts, such as Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. And what's the best part? Well, you can make money from your podcast. That's right, money. You could have 4 listeners and make millions of dollars. Anchor is there for you. Anchor is the way of the future. So if you are interested in using Anchor and you are interested in using this platform as we are, then please go to anchor.fm to get started.
Anchor.fm to get started. Everything you need to make a podcast in one place. I recommend it, and so does Ian.
Little shameless right there, but okay.
All right, so we're going to move on. A little bit of a lighter news story. The Italian government has ruled that cruise ships will no longer be able to go to the city center of Venice due to the reasons that they cited, those being pollution and flooding. So, Venice. We all know Venice. The beautiful, luxurious northeastern part of Italy.
Oh, here I was thinking it was the capital of Austria.
Oh, you silly
Both
goose.
start with a V. Oh, I'm such a klutz. April Fools.
And so Venice, what the part that's being referred to here, because Venice actually, if some of you don't know, it was not originally an island city. It ended up becoming an island city later, because, politics with the Byzantine Empire. I won't go into that. But
oh, please don't.
oh, if you insist, no, I won't, then I won't. But even a tiniest bit of insisting, I will.
He will.
But anyways, Venice. What's being referred to here is the mainland Venice, not the mainland part of the city, but like the main island part of Venice. And in this part of Venice, there's a lot of pollution problems and flooding, because it's a very densely populated area and it's very, very old. If you look at pictures of Venice, you see these massive cruise ships that come in and they tower over the buildings. It's pretty incredible because there's literally no more room to build in Venice. I mean, all the limited land is taken up because it's an island, so it's not like there's endless room to build. And so because of that, there's been a lot of pollution of the water and flooding of the city. Because when you have heavy objects inside water, you guys know, if you put your hand inside water, the water level rises. Basic physics knowledge here. And because of that, the cruise ships, they're a little bit lighter. They're a little bit more heavy than my finger. So just a little bit. I mean, they're about as heavy as Ian's finger. But
oh, okay. I was going to ask
because Ian, is 219,000 tons.
This is important to ask.
I understand, Ian. I didn't mean to offend you by not saying that you're incredibly heavy.
I have competition with the size of different ships out there. So it's very serious.
Yeah.
I don't know if Sue will like me if I'm not as big as a cruise ship.
Sue? It's true, she might not. Sue's picky. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is that there's a lot of pollution going on. A lot of it. The ships are really pushing the water level up, and the waters are very murky. They've cleared up recently, and I believe last year I saw photos of dolphins swimming through the canals of Venice, which is pretty cool, because the water's just cleared up so much that they've you know what? I'm going to go take a swim in Venice. I haven't done this in a few centuries.
Yeah.
So, good for the dolphins.
One of them reportedly had sunscreen on their nose and a Hawaiian shirt, a fedora, and a little Polaroid camera and was taking pictures of their baby dolphins through the canal. They were on a holiday.
Okay.
They were from America. They were American dolphins.
Oh. I was like, are you describing yourself?
Well, yes, I was trying to. Yes.
I mean, we are American.
I'm just doing the stereotypic American. That's
Yeah.
the joke.
Oh.
Just go with it. Go with it, man.
Okay. Ready? Anyways, that's as much laughing as you get out of me because I want to talk about Culture Minister Dario Franceschini.
Franceschini.
Yeah, probably Franceschini. Anyways,
I'm not Italian. I don't know how I said that.
He lauded the decision. He said, "This is amazing. I'm so happy we did this." But he did mention that this decision was passed from a lot of pressure from UNESCO, which, as we know, is a branch of the United Nations. And it works with special sites and artifacts, kind of. If you get labels UNESCO Heritage Site, that's as good as it gets when you're an artifact. For humans, it's you want to get the Nobel Prize. If you're an artifact, you'll want to get the UNESCO status. I mean, pretty similar levels here. You get protected, and if you get destroyed, the person who did it, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. And so he lauded this, and then the ships. So some clarification: the ships will still be able to go to Venice, but they will have to dock at the industrial port of the city rather than the Giudecca Canal, which I can read it. I can't say it clearly, but it's located in the inner part of the city, and it's more like a lagoon. It's very shallow, and so the ships will actually just sometimes they get stuck in there. Oh, it's pretty big if they're big enough. They won't be able to dock there anymore because Venice is trying to keep the inner part of the city somewhat together. So movements such as these have been tried in the past, with the most memorable being from 2019 when a massive cruise ship rammed into the harbor by accident, which injured 5 people. However, no significant progress was made following that.
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, if you're driving a cruise ship, I'd recommend do not ram it into random cities. They don't like that. It's probably not good for your ship either. Although Ian's more of that. He's more in that field than me. Ian, is it good to ram cruise ships into stuff?
From my experience, I would say no. I would point to the example of the Titanic, which actually got hit at an iceberg.
What do you know?
The one time I've needed.
No, he's the royal family thing.
Okay, fine.
Sorry, guys, such a loser. There you go. Don't tell him I said that. But
What?
No, nothing. You're wonderful.
Oh, okay.
And so all proposed bans at one point or another, as kind of like the 2019 thing, were all ignored or overturned. There was one in 2013 that actually was enforced, but that was the one that was overturned. The Italians, they're like, we care, but at the same time, there's so much tourism money. I mean, my God, like, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
love tourism money.
Well, those boats hold so many people, and then they all go off and they try and
all buy
souvenir.
gelato, like the 5 gelato stands in Venice.
Yeah.
Because there are that many in that tiny little island, and they're all busy. So, I'm sure they like it. Although I've heard the locals of Venice, like the people who actually live on the island, do not like tourists.
Right.
I've heard.
Do you like tourists? When you go to Boston, you see tourists.
I do see. I like tourists when they're like when they're taking pictures of squirrels, because apparently they're rare, or they don't exist in like Europe, for example.
Oh, I saw people taking pictures of squirrels in the comments once. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna mention Julio you remember Julio, my exchange student? Yeah,
wow.
He's like, oh, squirrels are so cool. I was like, nice. No, they're not. But I guess to you they are. I guess it's like a koala bear.
Yeah.
To us.
Yeah.
Or a monkey. I know there's monkeys that run around a lot in like a lot of countries in the Middle East.
Right.
And Africa. So.
There's some things we take for granted, isn't there?
I guess there are. I prefer squirrels, actually. Anyways, what I was trying to say is that I don't even know how we got on that topic. But, yeah, I honestly have no idea. Anyways, tourism. So the ban is going to take effect when tourism to Venice actually resumes. Right now, there's no one going to Venice because, COVID. But when it does...
But the dolphins are.
Yeah, they don't have to show their visa.
Which is a problem.
The immigrant dolphins taking their jabs. But I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. Dolphins only take some jobs, not all of them.
Just the ones that we don't want.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Like eating fish. Ugh.
Do you not like fish?
Some fish. I don't like swordfish. It's disgusting.
Oh. It's the best type of fish.
You like swordfish?
It's like the steak of the sea.
I don't think we can be friends anymore.
All right, guys. See you later.
April Fools. But anyways, we're in a good mood. We love April Fool's Day, Politics 1001.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, the cruise ships, again, they're not entering Venice at all right now, but they're not going to enter the city center even when they do. So I hope you enjoyed that story. We're going to move on now to Lebanon, because Lebanon, guys, is continuing, despite the best efforts of us to cover Lebanon once every 2 to 3 months. It continues to be in an economic crisis. So obviously, we don't have much influence over Lebanon. I thought we did. But
you don't.
Ian does.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
But on Wednesday, Lebanese militant group / political party Hezbollah said that it is time to form a new government in Lebanon. That's the big story. So its leader, Syed Hassan Nasrallah, Nasrallah, talk about you so much. And he said that it's time for politics.
You think my obsession with Sue is weird?
You think, actually, I'm not even going to mention the said country. We're not going to mention it on this podcast. It borders Lebanon.
Oh.
And but your obsession with Sue is, I think it's cute.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So anyways, Nasrallah said that it's time to put the political differences aside. It's time for politicians. I like Nasrallah. He's pure as snow. He doesn't have any incentives, but the politicians, they're bad. These politicians are terrible. They need to put aside their political differences. He's innocent. He's never done anything. But the politicians, they gotta put their stuff aside. It's time to put their energy into forming a new government. Because if you guys didn't know, Lebanon's in the middle of an economic crisis, as I've already stated, and that crisis is threatening the very foundations of the country in terms of quite literally staying together and not collapsing. Lebanon, they're struggling here. Huge inflation, lots of poverty, over 50% poverty in the country. It continues to rise pretty rapidly. So again, it's not good. The biggest problem, of course, is the divide between the political elite, because when is it not? So President Michael Aoun of Lebanon, he's backed by Hezbollah, which is important, and he has accused the Prime Minister Saad Hariri of attempting to secure a majority for himself in the parliament, and because of that, that's why the government isn't forming. However, Hariri, he says no, Michael Aoun, it's actually your fault. You are trying to get your own people seats in my cabinet of the future government, and so. In return, that would give you kind of like a veto power over the cabinet. So you actually are at fault here for not forming the government. So as you can see, prime minister, president, they're fighting with each other. And Hariri is not an ally of Michael Aoun or Hezbollah. So it's kind of those two versus the prime minister. And so you can see that there is a large political divide between the three most powerful people in the country, which is when you want to form a government, that's not what you want to see. And so last Monday, the attempt to form a cabinet, last Monday, the attempt to form a cabinet failed, which shattered the hopes of Lebanese populace in seeing a new government formed. They got together, they tried, and it just didn't work. And so there have been calls because of this to reactivate the old cabinet of former Prime Minister Hassan Diab, to which Diab said, "Oh, no, I can't do that. Yeah, I can't do that. I don't want to. But if you really want to, I guess, for the sake of Lebanon, I'll do it. But only if you really want to." He's doing this thing like, what Roman emperors used to do. "Oh, I don't want to be emperor. One of the troops has to elevate them. I don't want to do it." No, we want you to. I think that's where he got his inspiration, if you ask me. Yeah. But anyways, they said, Hassan Diab, you could be prime minister. Well, at least there's a lot more calls recently to elevate him to that position. But Diab said, "No, only if the parliament agrees. I'm not. I'm too humble for that." So the reason that this is actually a big deal is that foreign aid is frozen unless there's an actual government in place. So if these people continue to fight, no foreign aid comes in, which equals in return, because my calculus is top notch. If I do the calculations right, no foreign aid equals economic crisis. And so that's what you're going to continue to see in Lebanon unless it's formed. And as per usual with these petty disputes, the citizens suffer. So, good luck, Lebanon.
Good luck.
I wish you the best.
Of course.
Anyways, let's move on to our last story of the day, and that is out of Sabra, which is a company that makes hummus. And I love hummus. Hummus is amazing.
I must admit that I am not a fan of hummus.
And that's why he likes swordfish. And so...
I just don't like it.
It's a steak of the sea.
It is. It is. It's good.
What about tuna steak? I mean, that's better.
I don't like tuna.
Guys, come on. Yeah. So anyways, you guys can tell now that Sabra the hummus is indeed a very good food if you haven't tried it, because the fact that Ian doesn't like it kind of just says all you need to know. Right. But anyways, the company which produces these tiny cups of hummus, again, Sabra, has called a recall of all of its products not all of its products, of some of its products, due to salmonella contamination. And that's, you don't want salmonella. It's not good. It's not deadly. It's very rarely deadly, but it's annoying. Your stomach hurts. You don't feel good. It's like food poisoning, if you don't know what it is. And salmonella and hummus, that's not a good combination. It would trick me immediately. I'd see a bowl of Sabra hummus. I'd eat it, and honestly, I might get salmonella. Just eat some hummus. But I'm still young. Life is short. My immune system can handle it. Ian agrees. And so they are focusing on 16 different states, being Sabra, where a total of 2,100 packages of hummus were sent out. And so these cases were delivered to and the next states. And this is more of a warning to you guys not to buy Sabra for the next few days. They were delivered to Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Florida, Indiana, Mississippi, Maine, Missouri, Nebraska, North Carolina, New Jersey, Utah, Virginia, Washington, and Wisconsin. 50 states song. And so these packages were discovered to possibly contain the disease because the FDA were doing some reports. There was a giant glob of hummus, and they were sticking their little salmonella detectors into the hummus, and they found out there was salmonella in the hummus, and so it's being recalled. So Sabra did say this after the recall was announced. No illness or consumer complaints have been reported to date in connection with this recall. So that's good. It's a bullet.
Yeah, that's what he wrote, so that's good. And he even said to you that's what he wrote.
Yeah, because I feel like it's a good bullet. I worked really hard on that.
Thank you. You're
welcome. So, AKA, I'm more reporting this because if you do live in these states, which a lot of you, we have a lot of American listeners because, we're American. Be careful. Don't buy Sabra hummus.
Buy hummus.
I know it's tempting. But yeah, as Ian said, buy a different type of hummus.
No, just don't buy hummus.
Oh.
Would you like to share your opinions on ice cream while we're here?
Didn't I share them in the last time?
You shared them during a live stream.
Oh, yeah.
I will tell them for you.
Okay.
He does not like ice cream. So if you think any of my food opinions are...
No. Out of context. I said I don't like ice cream in comparison to other desserts. I will eat ice cream. It's not the best. It's cold. The point of a dessert, in my opinion, is you want to savor it. You want to enjoy it. If I can't take a bite out of my meal, out of my dessert, like a cake or a brownie or a cookie, I like taking bites. If you take a bite of ice cream, what happens? Your whole mouth hurts.
Well, being a 2,000-ton ship, the point of dessert is to just devour it.
One Hulk bite. All right, well, I'll leave you guys with that. We got some bloopers at the end of the episode, I think, right?
Oh, yeah.
We did some stupid stuff for April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Or rather, I did stupid stuff. So if you want to listen to that, stick around. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a review. Ian, what else should they do?
They should write something up about my shoulders.
Yeah, chin
this week, guys. Share it with a friend.
Definitely share, guys. The COVID restrictions are getting lifted. I know before we were not getting that many shares, but listen here, you can't use COVID as an excuse anymore. I mean, if it's still like rampant and there's still like laws against it, don't break the law. But as drive-thrus become more and more prevalent, you could loosen up a little bit if especially if you have the shot. I don't want to hear an excuse then. You go out there and you tell people to follow the world at large.
Little known fact, all the squirrels in Boston have world at large business cards taped to their tails.
But don't confirm that.
Don't confirm it. Why would you ever do that?
Serious face. But anyways, this episode has been full of irrelevant stuff, which I love. Hope you guys like it too. But if you did like it, guys, there is a link in the description. It's the first link in the description of this podcast. It is a donation link if you support us or the Instagram Politics 1001, which if you don't follow, you should because we're very close to 10K. But donate to it. It's $1 a month. It's very affordable and it supports us. More importantly, tells us that you guys actually like the content. So please, please, please do. It means a lot to us. $1 a month. And you can cancel anytime. So you're not $12 a year even. You could just do $1 one time. I prefer if you didn't. But anyways, I'm gonna let you guys go now. You can also join our Discord, by the way. Link at the podcast also.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, stop talking. Guys, you have a great rest of your day. We will be back here next Wednesday, hopefully, with another episode of The World at Large. We're going to get back to our normal schedule. So my name is Josh. Your co-host is Ian, and you are listening to The World at Large, created and brought to you by Politics 1001. You all have a good day.
Bye!